Welcome to the Everyday GSD podcast. Today's special guest, a friend of mine, Michael Beach.
Thank you.
So I'm going to do a little bio on you. I've got
I
got my cheat sheet here, but you're about 28 years old.
Yeah.
And I wanted to reference that because I think you've done so much in your life already, because I truly believe you're an everyday GSD guy. I met you about 5-ish years ago at an event in our industry down in Nashville. And we were just talking about it before the show started, and I'd left my water bottle inside Mark Stoner's building, and you came running out with my water bottle, which I'm thankful because I still have that water bottle. It's my favorite water bottle.
I could tell by the way it looked that it was important to you.
Yeah, and it's still it's got some miles on it. But, it's my favorite water bottle. But no, seriously, I want to share your story, and I want you to share your story with my listeners because I'm very impressed. You're one of 6 kids. You are homeschooled, which we've talked about that, so I definitely want to talk about that a little bit. You are also you played the drums. You tried to go into the music. Your dream was to go in the music career,
right?
You did a little record label with Christian record labels, I believe.
Yep.
And you did a summer tour supporting a singer-songwriters on the road. Then you got back from the tour. You did some odd jobs.
Yep.
And this is where I think it gets interesting. You worked for this startup company. You were making about $400 a month, and after that, you were learning how to use cameras and editing. And I guess I should back it up because you're the co-owner of Cumberland Creative,
right?
Who, by the way, does the editing for the Everyday GSD podcast. You guys do a phenomenal job. I get a lot of compliments.
Thankful
on
to
that.
do so. Yeah.
And you have a partner. You co-own it with Kyle, but Kyle couldn't make the trip.
Yeah.
But I am very thankful you came all the way up from Nashville. So I do appreciate that.
No, man, amped to be here.
And then let me see. You've been married for 5 years. Beautiful wife. I've met her. And now let's talk a little bit about Cumberland. Cumberland is a full-service video and social media marketing agency. You guys started that when you were about 22 years old?
Yeah.
So about 2017.
2017.
And you self-taught yourself how to video, direct, cinematography, and editing.
Yep.
And Justin over there, our producer, is probably scratching his head because he went to school for these things. and he's a wizard. We can talk about that later.
Yeah.
But I think the cool thing is you guys have been in business for, about 5 years-ish.
We just entered our 6th year.
You just ended your 6th year.
Yeah.
And you guys are pacing for, I don't know if we can talk about these numbers publicly, but you're pacing for $3 million and $3 million a year, and you guys have been profitable since you started.
Yep.
So you learned on your way as well, had some good mentors, I'm assuming.
Yep.
And you have had a successful career so far. And I must add that you've won 35 Telly Awards, and I'll have you explain what those are for those people who don't know, including 5 golds. And then you've worked with companies like Amazon, Toast, Christensen Arms, National University. They're out of San Diego, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
They're I think their goal. They're either are already or their goal is to be like the biggest online university.
Okay. Yeah.
They're kick ass.
Okay. So that's just a few things. I mean, you've accomplished quite a bit of shit, in my opinion, for being pretty young.
Yeah,
and you got a sweatshirt on right now, but you got a lot of new tattoos too. So I haven't seen you in a little while.
Yeah, I've been busy. I've been at work with that. Yeah.
So let's dive into. I want to talk about homeschooling. And by the way, you have a podcast. It's about homeschooling.
Yeah.
What is it called again?
It's called Homeschool.
It's called Homeschool.
Yeah.
I should have remembered that.
Yeah,
right?
no, it's fun, man. It's just me and one of my best friends. We both grew up the same way, and it's a lot of just like fucking around and shooting shit.
Oh, we can't swear.
Oh, we can't?
No, I'm just kidding.
I was like, fucking hell, man. I was like, there's no way. Yeah. But so we're just shooting the shit most of the time. But it's a lot of like reminiscing. And again, it's a pretty unique way to grow up.
Walk me through like a year or a school. Like, I don't even understand it.
So it's interesting.
I mean, I get it, but I don't understand it.
So it's interesting. Like, I feel like in the, as I started, being homeschooled in the late 90s. So like my mom started it when my older siblings were of age. So the reason why she started homeschooling was she sent them off to private Catholic school, and there was questionable, religious teachings happening there, to her at least.
Right.
And so
she didn't like what the school was preaching.
Right.
At the end of the day, right?
And
I went to Catholic school, and We can have a whole another fucking episode on county school.
No doubt.
I mean, we talked a little bit about that last night with my wife, and she just shakes her head, but that's a whole nother conversation.
Yeah. So she didn't like the way that was happening. And like at that time, I guess there wasn't a lot of options, you know, like, you know, it was either homeschooling wasn't really a thing. Like,
right.
Really, it was really like looked down upon. So when she decided to do it, like pull my siblings out, I was little, you know, she committed to it to like homeschool all of us. You know, there's all 6 of us at the same time.
Okay.
And
she's like the principal of the house.
Yeah. No, it was wild because there was, at that time, there was like no support for it. Like, it was like everybody was like really giving her shit. Like, you're going to fuck your kids up. Like, you're not going to, like, this is a huge
they're not
mistake.
going to be successful.
Yeah. Well, there was a lot of like, it was really frowned upon. But, you know, the way it works is like, you know, kind of what you imagine. Like, your mom's your teacher or your dad or whoever's the stay-at-home parent, you know.
Right.
But like, your mom's your teacher, and there's curriculums that you can, you know, go through, sign up for and go through, like, and you have to buy the books, but it supplies the curriculum and like the steps along the way.
But who's to say, and this may be a dumb question, and I think I'll be honest with you, I think I'm going to have several dumb questions today because it's so foreign to me. So who's to say you did the work?
Yeah.
Like, so at the end of the year, you passed 4th grade and you moved to 5th grade, but like the other kid, little Bobby in 4th grade, maybe he didn't do the work in school, so he fails 4th grade, but who's keeping you accountable?
So there's organizations that kind of keep you accountable, but really the only accountability system is that the parents don't want their kids to be fuck ups.
Right.
So they're going to
love it.
So they're going to make sure that like you're doing the work and they're honest about it. And like, that's pretty much the accountability.
As opposed to going to school and then fucking up, and then you go back home and you lie to your parents and say, I did my homework, and they don't even know what you did. Then all of a sudden, at the end of the year, you get a D or an F, and then the teacher calls your parents in for a teacher conference, and they're like, hey, Mike hasn't been doing his homework. And like, well, he told me
Which
he
still
was.
happens in homeschooling, to be fair. But yeah, that's kind of how it works. You know?
I wonder. I'm curious, and I don't know if Google over there, Justin, the wizard, he knows all these answers. Mm-hmm. But I'm curious to see the number of kids that are homeschool that continue on, because clearly, this show's about everyday GSD, right? So obviously, your mother or your parents instilled this mantra into you. Right. Maybe they didn't call it "get shit done," but they obviously instilled this into your brain because you obviously you were successful in school. You graduated, and then you went on to have your own business. You have a partner. Again, Kyle's not here. I wish you were here, Kyle. Yeah. I even have the other setup for you.
I know.
You guys were going to be the first duo too. Yeah.
It's tough.
Yeah. And then, Jonica, I love her to death. She was like, just have them come up another time. I'm like, no, they're already on their way. This show is gonna happen.
Let's go.
Yeah. So tell me more, man. Tell me more.
Dude, no, it's crazy. So yeah, it's what you think. I mean, you do your school, your mom grades it for you. She gives you your grades. She submits them through an organization, through the state. So there's a legitimacy to it being processed and stuff.
So I'm gonna put you on the spot. Do you think that when you were in 8th grade or 9th grade, you were learning and doing more than the other kids that were actually at traditional school? Or do you think?
Yes, but not academically. So I was a bad student. I suck at school.
Okay.
I'm not good at books, tests, whatever.
So that's a perfect example that doesn't really go over into business because you sucked at school and you've got a successful company right now.
So, but where I did,
that's been profitable since you started.
That's right.
I want to emphasize that.
But where I did thrive was that I was able to and had the opportunity to, school's a checklist. So I will say, I didn't really care about school. I didn't love school. I wasn't passionate about it, but I was passionate about being creative and playing drums and, chasing my passions, whatever that they were. So what I had the ability to do was finish my school by lunchtime, and then I had the rest of the day to do whatever I wanted.
Okay.
So it was up to me, it was all on me. So it was all up to me to get it done, to get the work done, however I needed to get it done. That was on me.
Because we talk about discipline and motivation a lot on the Everyday GSD show. And I feel like you have, well, obviously motivation, but the difference between discipline and motivation, we always talk about that, right?
Right.
Discipline you have, motivation comes and goes.
Right.
So was your mom just your teacher, or was your dad also?
No, just my mom.
Okay. Yeah. So your mom is also teaching you the curriculum, but she's also teaching you discipline and life lessons.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah. No, 100%.
Because how old were you when you guys started Cumberland?
I was 22, I think.
22 years old.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
With a very small loan from a friend.
Yeah.
And you guys went all in.
Yep.
Paid that money back and you never looked back.
Nope. Yeah. We were ready to go, man.
Yeah.
Like when we...
And I say small loan, if you don't mind, can I share that?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, like a $7,000 loan.
Yeah.
You know, you hear stories when someone, you know, like someone comes to the country, United States, and they have like $200 in their pocket and they end up becoming very successful. Or, you know, this is an actually a really cool story because you guys were smart enough to talk to the right person,
right,
and said, hey, can you float me this loan? $7,000 is a lot of money,
yeah,
but it's not when you start talking about businesses, right?
Sure.
We can both agree to that. $7,000, we would all like to have an extra $7,000.
Yeah, for a startup cost, it was nothing.
Oh, come on, it's nothing.
We basically built, we knew that, you know, we knew the tools we needed to get started.
Right.
And we basically, you know, we need to build a computer, we need to buy a camera.
Right.
And so that's what we started with.
And then you needed to hustle.
Yeah. Yeah. Which.
And there was 3 of you at first.
Yes.
So we can talk about that, or we can slide right over it, whatever you want.
Yeah, I mean, it's, you know, it was crazy.
Yeah,
I mean,
so because there was 3 of you, and then one guy was not GSDing. We don't have to say names.
Yeah.
It was the third partner, and then you and Kyle talked to some people.
Yeah,
and you guys made a decision. Hey, he's not pulling his weight. We need to pull the Band-Aid off.
Yep.
There's people, including myself, that are in business for many years that don't pull the Band-Aid off fast enough.
Yep.
And I feel like you guys are, you know, and I want to still go back to homeschool. I'm jumping around a little bit because I'm excited.
You're good, man.
Yeah, I'm excited about this. But like you made it as a business decision that often people don't make until years later, which costs them potentially their company.
For sure. Yeah, we, you know, early on, we just like, we wanted to skip a lot of those because we heard the same thing from, like, you know, whether it was you or a lot of different, you know, mentors or business people that we had talked to. And there's a lot of these mistakes they share. And it's like, let's just fucking skip all that if we can, you know? So,
right.
So when a big decision came up or there was something that was like a tough choice was to be made, we pretty much were, you know, it was uncomfortable, but we were very clear on deciding, like, we're going to make that decision as soon as possible. Like if we think we need to do it now, we're going to do it now.
Right.
Because it's going to hurt a lot worse. Because we believe we're only going up from here. So it's going to get a lot worse. Whatever the problem is.
Pull the Band-Aid off.
Yeah.
Make it happen.
Get it done so we can just, whatever that distraction is, like, immediately put that fire out so you can just focus on, you know, the work again and where you're trying to go. And, you know, just, that was my biggest thing was, like, there was, like, with starting a business, there's so many distractions. Like we got our old employer, we were contractors, but our old employer tried to sue us when we started.
Of course.
And he
saw you guys had your shit together.
And we were independent contractors. We had no we can do it legally. We do whatever we want. But when you're young, you know, it's
scary.
Yeah, you don't know. You don't know what you
don't know.
Literally.
Right?
And so we're trying to, you know, start the business and have that hanging over our heads and you know, all kinds of shit going on.
And you guys came into the chimney industry strong. In the chimney industry, my manufacturing company, the people that I sell chimney liners and components to.
Yeah.
You guys came in real strong because I remember I was at a trade show or an event, and you guys, I was talking to you guys. It was you and Kyle, and you guys asked me, "Hey, do you have anyone I can talk to that, you know, you gave your profile of what the customer you were looking for?"
Right.
See, I have a small list of that profile, and, you know, I'll see what we can do. And then all of a sudden, these guys are calling me up saying, "Hey, I'm working with Cumberland, man. They changed the way we do social media. They changed us. Our marketing has been so much better. You guys really came in with a strong presence for being so young and so new. And I don't think anyone knew that then. Yeah, I think they just assumed you guys had."
Well, we kind of, like, because it's interesting, is we kind of started at, you know, we started out, like, we didn't have to really work our way up, which we were very, like, thankful for. We started working with, I mean, the top tier of the industry quickly. And
but you surrounded yourself with the right people, right?
Yeah.
Don't we talk about that all the time?
Oh, yeah.
If you want to be successful, surround yourself with successful people.
So when we got involved, so that was our 4th month in business. And it's actually a funny story. So 4th month in business, we're in a BNI group, like which was a stretch. Kyle was like, I think I should join this BNI group. It's like $1,200 a year. I think it's worth it.
And that's a networking group for anyone who doesn't know.
Yeah. Which was, $1,200,
Yeah.
Fuck. Like,
yeah.
So, we agreed it's a good idea. He got on it. And that's where we got kind of involved in that industry was, Spark Marketer basically was like, we have a client that's looking for this storytelling type of stuff. Because that was our whole thing was like, we didn't want to be this production we didn't want to just be a production company. We wanted to come out. We wanted to be a company that was very creative and really like sold the story. Like we really wanted to be able to like, we talk about telling stories all the time. Like that was our goal. Like we want to be, we're not just hired guns. Like we're going to come in, we're going to learn who you are.
But you do tell a story for a gun company.
We do. We do. Like, we do.
Which is
plenty
actually,
of them.
Which is actually, I was referencing Christensen Arms. Is that, did I say
Christensen,
that right?
yeah.
Christensen Arms, yeah. Yeah, I had a problem saying successfulness earlier today too. Maybe
We've been talking a lot.
Maybe
today,
too many bourbons with you last night.
Oh shit. Nah.
Okay, continue, man. I'm probably gonna keep interrupting you.
No, you're good, man. Yeah. So we got Spark introduced us to Mark, Stoner, owner of Ashbusters, and
Ashbusters, which is a chimney company in Nashville that is, I believe, the #1 company in Nashville, but probably a top tier company. Well, I'm not saying probably. It's fact. It is a top tier company in the United States.
Yeah.
Actually, Justin, do you remember when we had Christy Lee on the show?
I do. Yeah.
So Justin's the one that arranged that because they worked together years ago, and Christy Lee has won a shit ton of awards. I can't even list them all. She just got inducted in the Radio Hall of Fame. She's amazing. But she said to me when we were having an intro meeting, she goes, "Oh, chimney." She goes, "There's this guy in the chimney industry. You really have to get him on your show. You have to meet him." And I was like, "What's his name?" She goes, "He's out of Nashville. His name is Mark Stoner." And I was like, "Get the fuck! I know Mark Stoner.
Yeah, do I know him?
Yeah, that's awesome." And his brother. I'm gonna have his brother on the show. Yeah. We ended up running in.
How did she know him? Did she say?
Yeah, she said she knew Mark from his brother, which I think was her neighbor. There's something to do with the correlation of where they lived. And anyway, I mean, we could talk about Stoner all day. The guy's he's a unicorn, right? Okay.
So yeah, we got introduced with him, and he had the need for the type of services we were doing. And I think it was a $10,000 deal,
right?
Which was
beginning
big time.
And
that was huge. I mean, we were.
But you guys are closing now $250,000 jobs.
Ants. Yeah, it feels good.
Yeah,
I mean, the growth's been nice, but it was amazing. Yeah. And local guys.
Just the three
really
of you
excited.
At this time.
Yep.
Yeah.
So we going through pre-production. We do the production. And the whole time we're like, this could be. This is one of our first legitimate companies.
Right.
We'd worked with some companies, and had contracts with people, but it's like we definitely from the beginning saw an opportunity within the industry, and also just Mark told us he's like I for real, if you guys kill this, you're gonna get phone calls.
Yeah, I'm gonna spread the word.
And we were like, yeah, okay. Everybody says that. I didn't really know Mark well.
Right.
Everybody says that, and so
so he was right.
So it was high pressure. We we do a lot of pre-pro. We do the production. I get all the edits done. I'm feeling pretty good about them. And, I'm nervous, obviously, but I get all the edits done, all the deliverables taken care of, send them to Mark. And it's I send him the weekend that I'm headed to my oldest brother's wedding in Florida. And at this point, we haven't had many clients. We had a few. And I haven't heard back from Mark in about 4 days. And I get
which is kind of a long time, right?
So I get a response
in your
back
world.
From these videos, right? I get a response back. And the subject line is in all caps and it just says,
"You fucking killed it.
Major issues with the videos. Need to talk to realign or something like that. That's what it said.
Yeah, like a bad message.
My fucking like gut drops, you know?
And by the way, I do try, I mention this all the time, but my mom listens to the podcast, and I'll probably be saying this for the next 100 podcasts, but I do try not to swear, but she knows I'm really going to continue.
Sure.
So that normally the first time I drop the F-bomb, I apologize to her, and then we continue. And I didn't say that at the beginning of the show. So Mom, I know you're listening. I love you. And,
no.
You know, but we're going to keep.
I'm really bad about it. So
you don't have to, you're good, but I just, because I love my mom, I wanted to make that one reference that I normally say at the beginning of the show. Mom, sorry, I just said fuck, but she raised me better than that. She says.
There you go. My mom says the same thing, so they can align on.
Well,
that.
your mom was your teacher too, so let's not fucking kid ourselves. My mom was not. Well, she taught me a lot though, but she wasn't my teacher.
Yeah,
she would have been. I would have been a good homeschooled student. Yeah, I bet I would have been. Nah, I would have been fucking.
Who knows, man?
I would have been a disaster.
Who knows?
Okay.
So he sent me. So he sent me that email. I see the subject line. It's like all bad news. This is the subject line, all caps. And so I'm like freaking out. Of course, I'm like,
is he fucking with you?
And I don't know. I don't know him at this point. Okay. You know what I mean?
Right.
So like, he's just a client and he's a successful guy in town. So I'm like, I see that and I'm like, oh no. And I open the email and all it says is like, ha ha ha, just kidding. These are fucking awesome. And that's all it said.
Oh shit!
I was like,
because you look at it and all you see is the subject line.
Yeah.
Oh man, heart drop.
Yeah. So I was geeking out, but
we're gonna go back on tour.
Yeah, no, man. But it was so like that, you know, kind of catapulted us into the, you know, chimney industry. And what was interesting about it was, we were traveling all over the country, working with all kinds of great companies and telling their stories and making all kinds of content for them. And what was exciting about it was that a lot of these guys they'd never seen themselves look this way.
Right.
They've never seen their company look this way. They've never, you know, understood that, like, there's so many times where we send out a batch of videos and they're like, man, I didn't know we looked that legit. Like,
well, I know what I
mean?
I know when you guys did, Chuck Hall, who's a friend of mine, he owns Winston's Chimney in the Mid-Atlantic, as we call it, that area. And he is the top tier. This dude's a fucking badass, as you know. But when I saw his videos that you guys did, it made me not understand. It reassured me of who I thought he was and his company.
Right.
But the public doesn't know that.
Right.
So when I watched the videos, I was like, yeah, that's you shared his story and told that story in that line to me, like, you know, I don't know how these awards how you get these awards, and we're going to talk about that.
Yeah.
But when I saw his videos and his, like, I don't know if it's testimonial where it's just him talking, and I'm like, that's Chuck Hall.
Yeah.
Like, this guy's been
his like brand piece.
He's been doing this. He's been in this business for years, and he is top tier.
Yeah. And
I mean, badass.
That's what that is. That's what we wanted to make us different, is, again, like, we didn't want to be just like a crew that was good at filming and editing. Like, we wanted to be able to really digest who these people are we're working with,
right, and
learn what their personalities are and put their personalities into the piece. Like, if the client doesn't feel 100% about it, like, then I'm not happy.
Right.
And, you know, like Chuck, like,
well, yeah, he's way different than Stoner.
The
right?
tones, different. Yeah.
I mean, Stoner's a unicorn,
Stoner wanted to be this kind of homegrown, you know, relatable, like, friendly vibe, and Chuck wanted to be aggressive and confident. And we're the fucking
I
best.
look at them both and say, Stoner's a unicorn, and because that's a reference we always talk about. But Chuck's a thoroughbred.
Yeah.
You know, he's a winning horse,
no doubt.
Like, this is like, you know, you want to be the one on his team. You want to be on his team. You want to be the one grooming that horse.
Yeah.
Because, you know, this is a show horse that's going to win. Right? That's Chuck Hall and his company.
That's him. So it was interesting because, like, you know, all these guys, you know, not just the chimney world, but all the clients we work with, they have all these different personalities and identities. And so it's a super fun process to dive into that and, you know, ask them questions that never been asked before, and kind of learn about, you know, who they are, make them kind of rethink, like, who they are and how they're portrayed and how they want to be seen and the things that are important to them, you know, to kind of showcase to their communities,
right,
and things like that. So
I want to go back to homeschooling,
sure,
and we're gonna jump around, but so I was asking Google over there, my man, the producer, Justin. I wonder if there's a statistic, and I'm sure there is because there's a stat for all of this stuff, right? Of how many individuals were homeschooled and then became successful as an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Without going to, because you didn't go to business school, I don't think, right?
I didn't go to college.
I didn't read that in your bio.
No,
you don't have a master's or an MBA in business, right? And you've been in business for 5 years and you've been profitable each year. Yeah. And you guys know your numbers.
Oh yeah.
You know your numbers.
They're dialed in.
They're dialed in.
Yeah. We know when they're good and when they're bad.
Yeah.
And
Kyle is more in the sales role.
Yeah.
And I know when Kyle, I'm sure Kyle's going to listen to this and he's going to kick himself in the ass for not making this trip.
Well, he's closing deals. So
he's closing deals. And when he sent me that text, he's like, I got to close. I got a GSD, man. I can't do it. And I do appreciate that because that's what it's about, right? You're not in business to come on my podcast. You're in business to be successful.
No, yeah. He felt really bad, man.
I'm going to give him shit.
Yeah, no, do it. Yeah. He was like, man, I don't know what to do. I was like, dude, look, if you got no matter what we have going on, I mean, Cumberland's the priority.
100%.
Like protect the business over.
Because
you guys obviously split, personal life and business, but as far as business goes,
because you guys have how many employees now? About 10 employees?
10, 11, yeah.
Yeah, 10, 11 employees. So they rely on you to feed their families.
Yep. Oh, 100%.
Yeah. So when you decide it's time for you to go fuck off and do dumb shit, then it puts the company in jeopardy.
Yeah.
And you can't do that. When you have employees, you can't do that. You've come down to my factory. I have a lot of employees.
Yeah.
And I've got to go in there and get dirty. I've got to show my employees I'm here to work.
Yep.
Because they're there to work. We were talking about that corporate culture and how do you lead your team?
Yeah.
These are all perfect examples that you guys are doing. And you're several years younger than me.
Sure. Yeah.
You were born when I was actually, chasing bad guys in South America.
Yeah, chasing the cartel or whatever. Yeah. Shit, man.
But it's crazy. I think Justin probably knows the answer because he's smart. But how many people, Justin, do you think? Justin's like, I don't know that one, Darin.
Well, I'm actually looking at all these statistics now, and they're quite fascinating.
Are they really?
It's probably pretty split.
Well, I mean, it says that 67% of
a little closer, Mike.
Homeschool kids are more successwell than non-homeschool kids.
How many?
67%.
67%.
Wow. Interesting.
So that's because So I only know. Well, obviously you as and I probably know other people. I just didn't know they're homeschooled.
Sure.
And then obviously I met Brock. He was homeschooled, and right, we talked about that last night.
Yeah.
And he's like,
and Hunter, who you met.
Yeah, no, I knew Hunter was homeschooled because when Hunter came to dinner here, 2 years ago or whatever it was, and he was you guys were talking, and I was like, so both of you are homeschooled? Yeah. And again, you have a podcast that's called Homeschool.
Yeah.
And you actually have people on your podcast, the majority of them that were homeschooled, and you just tell stories about the dumb shit you guys would get away with and fun stories and right?
Oh yeah. No, that's pretty much the whole thing. Is that again, it was what we talk about all the time is that it was a interesting way to grow up, and there's a lot of reasons for that, but one of them is that most of our friends and a lot of the kids we knew, they're out of the house a lot, and they are doing these things and they have these friends and they're not home a lot, honestly.
Right.
And then you get a bunch of kids that are home all the time. You're at home with your siblings, with your parents, 24/7.
And there's 6 of you.
Yeah. And so you're together,
all learning math and reading.
Yeah. You're together all the time, and so there comes a point where
what sibling was the smartest? Or I shouldn't say the smartest.
Dude,
let me rephrase that.
No.
What sibling was the most the best in school? Doesn't mean you're actually the smartest.
So it's funny. We're pretty split. So my 3 older siblings were all awesome students, amazing students. All went, crushed school, awesome ACTs, went to college, killed it.
So then they go to college, but in-person college.
Yeah. And they killed it, all of them. And then there was me, who
has a successful business.
Well, I was bad at school. I just was. Can't sit still, if I'm my hands aren't on something tangibly, it's really hard for me to be about it and focus. And so it was actually my mom, when I was graduating high school, I was really stressed because I was I don't know what, I don't all I knew was I wanted to play drums. I wanted to do music, and I didn't know what was next. Like the only thing I knew was that like, okay, I need to get 21 the ACT, get the in-state scholarship, and go to the college in my hometown.
So did you take your SATs?
I took my ACTs.
ACTs, okay.
And I took it 3 times.
Hey, whatever,
took the ACT
man.
3 times.
Yeah.
I got 19, 20, 20. So never got the 21.
The first time I took my SATs, when I got my score, I think my brother said to me, he goes, did you, was that for one section? Because you know how it's like broken up into sections. And I was like, yeah, whatever, man.
Yeah. But
I got plans.
So I never had, I didn't. I had no plans, man.
I'm kidding.
No.
Yeah,
I didn't know, man. I was like, and as I was getting really stressed out as graduation was approaching, and I was just planning on getting a student loan and starting college, and I know that would have gone poorly, and thankfully my mom was like, look, I don't think this is for you. Like, I don't think you should do college. I think you just need to get out and figure it out
and learn life a little.
Like just get out of, like, move out.
Like, and to back it up, I think you mentioned it earlier, but she decided, or your family decided, the reason they wanted to homeschool all of you was because she didn't like the way that the, for lack of a better word, the teachings were going on in the Catholic school.
Yeah, it was definitely very religious.
Because you come from a very religious background,
yes,
and we don't have to get into all those details, but whatever you're comfortable talking about. But it was interesting because, so she made a family decision, obviously with your dad, and she was like, all of you are getting pulled out of school. Were you already in school at this time?
No, I was like so small.
So when it's time for you to start, like, I guess it would be kindergarten. I don't know. Do you call them the same grades when
it's all the same. Yeah.
So you're starting kindergarten, and you only know that it's homeschool because all your siblings are doing homeschooling.
Yep. No, that's all I knew.
And then we could do a show just on homeschooling. Oh, you have one.
No, man. Yeah, that's the way it went. They would, we'd all be at the kitchen table. My siblings are doing their thing, and I had my little, kid workbooks, and counting carrots and shit, and doing phonics, and like when you're that young, it's fun because you're like, oh, like I'm doing stuff with my older sibling.
I'm with my brother
yeah. So, that's kind of how the process goes. And,
right. So if you had kids, you and your wife, you've been married now 5 years, and your wife's beautiful. I love her. She's super cool. I really enjoyed the times that we've got to spend together in Nashville. So I don't know if she listens to podcasts or not, but if she listens to this, I want her to know I think she's like one of the coolest persons.
Oh, she's the best, man.
And I think she's really good for you. She keeps you fucking straight.
Yeah. She does.
So, but if you guys ever did have kids or decided to have kids, would they go to a traditional school or would they be homeschooled? Or do you not want to answer because you don't want her to throw a shoe at you?
No, man. I think, we honestly haven't talked about it a ton, but the conversations we have had, I think we're kind of on the page of like, we would homeschool early. And then as they grow up, if they're like, hey, I want to go to school.
Right.
Or if we're like, we're sending you to school.
Right.
Then yeah.
So if someone asked you, because that's a great answer, but if someone asked you, let's say I had 2 kids.
Yeah.
I'm going to make up an age, 5 and 4, right, year apart. It's time to send them to kindergarten. I called you up and said, hey, and financially, hypothetically, I could be the stay-at-home dad.
Sure.
Jonica does kick ass.
But
I don't want to be a stay-at-home dad. So don't get any ideas, Jonica. But if I was a stay-at-home dad and I called you up and said, "Hey, you were homeschooled. What advice would you give me?" I got a 5-year-old and a 4-year-old, and they're good kids.
Yeah,
they want to play.
I mean, it's hard. I mean, you gotta like. There's that balance of like especially when a kid's that little. You know what I mean? It's like you gotta understand that, they're only gonna be able to do and to want to do so much.
Right.
So it's got to be very digestible for them, whatever it is you're doing. So whatever schooling you're doing for them, like it's got to be a good mixture of like, of course there's like classic workbook school to do. But I mean, at that age, man, a lot of the stuff we were doing was like hands-on.
Well, let's face it. There's a lot of shit you have to do in school that is not practical to anything in the real world.
So there's a lot of practical stuff we did when we were little, like maybe, mom shows us about gardening one day.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like just like basic little things.
Home ec.
Yeah, whatever, dude.
Yeah.
Like,
do you even know what home ec is?
no.
I quit.
I quit.
Yeah,
Justin just walked out of the studio. So home ec was a class that us somewhat older people.
Sure, yeah.
It was a required class, kind of like a metal shop and a wood shop, one of those like shop classes.
Mm-hmm.
And the schools got rid of them years ago. But I learned how to, like, that's where I learned.
Like trades.
But that's where I learned how to sew.
Yeah.
Even though I relearned it in the military, but I learned how to sew. I learned some.
The apron I made.
You still have the apron you made?
I made an apron in home ec. I still have it.
Yeah, I remember. I made a pillow, and I think my mom probably still has it.
Oh,
I can't remember all the
yeah.
little things that I made, but
Yeah.
I was actually good at home ec. I think I was. I learned quite a bit. But so you didn't have home ec, but neither did the other kids your age.
No,
but
no.
But you had your own version of it.
Yeah. We would just do.
Any younger person that's listening to this show, they're like, "What's that old man talking about?" But anyone who listens to the show that's my age or older is like, "Yeah, man, I hated home ec, or I was good at it." Were you good at home ec, Justin?
I was great. It was baking, how to balance a checkbook.
Yeah, like all practical shit.
Yeah, all practical stuff you just don't learn.
You don't learn it anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember my little sister, we went to my grandma's house, and she's 10 years younger than me. And my grandmother had one of those old school refrigerators, and she grew up with you push the cup and the ice comes out of the refrigerator.
Right.
She sees my aunt open the freezer and pull out an ice tray, put water in it, and put it back in the freezer. She goes,
Yeah.
"That's how you make ice cubes?" I'm like,
No way.
You're kidding me. Oh yeah.
We had those growing up.
Yeah.
Ice trays, man.
Yeah.
Dude,
Okay.
Don't you dare empty the ice tray.
I want to dive into the Tully Awards. Let's talk about business because let's face it.
Yeah.
You know, we can talk about homeschool all day, but maybe I just need to people have to just go on your podcast and listen to
there's plenty to hear.
Yeah. And I could talk about homeschooling all day because I'm very intrigued by it.
Yeah.
I do have a couple more questions before we jump.
Dude, we're chilling.
Sports.
Yeah.
How do you play sports when you're homeschooled?
We
Should I know this, Justin, already? Is this a dumb question?
I only know because I was looking at the internet.
Because he's over there,
so it's
Mr.
changed.
Google.
It's changed, man. So I played soccer my whole life. From I was like by the time I was
You played for a school?
4 to 18. No.
Okay, because I remember talking to Brock. I remember talking to Brock last night at dinner, or when we were having drinks. Brock was explaining to me it depends on what school and what area you're in. That's right? It depends on where you're at that would allow you to either play for school. Because I grew up in northern New York, the Adirondack Mountains, and we had a lot of homeschool kids in Vermont.
Right.
I didn't know them. I learned this later in life.
Yeah.
But I remember playing hockey against teams in Vermont.
Yeah, like homeschool teams.
But no, they were like the regular teams that we would play with.
Okay.
But then some of those kids were homeschooled. But I think they were homeschooled, and maybe I'm just crazy and don't remember it well, but I feel like they were homeschooled because there wasn't a school near them. Or it was not convenient in the wintertime to drive, an hour through the mountains to go to the local school. So they were like allowed to be homeschooled, but then they could play hockey or whatever the sport was. So you played soccer, but you played on a homeschool team?
So
what was your uniform?
So there were there were like homeschool leagues for things, but I played recreational leagues, which were, spring and fall. And I would play in those every year. And those were just, teams that you would sign up for in your community. And it was just like, very recreational. So just like, it was organized, but it was just, kids that were in the community that wanted to play. And it would basically be it was mainly filled out by kids that were in off season for sports for their schools.
Right. So let's say you're an all-star soccer player and you're in your senior year at homeschooling.
Yeah. You don't got anything. But when I was in school, that's just like you would have to go to a school.
So is there a recruiter out there for a college that says, no, Brock's saying
not
no.
at that time.
We got a room full of people in here today.
Not at that.
Y'all can't see it with the cameras.
Yeah.
We got some live action in here.
So what actually happened was the year I graduated, because it was a big deal because a lot of people were pissed about it because it was like, why can't homeschoolers go and try out for schools at the very least, in their, area. Well,
because they don't want the kids that are going to school to quit the school and tell their moms to homeschool. Because it's money, right? The schools are making money. And I could be wrong. I'm looking over at Brock and Justin.
I don't know,
and
man. Like
the crew behind the
private
scenes,
schools, yeah, but like the public schools, like
so I went to private school. I went to public school. And
I mean,
school,
where I grew up, there was one private school, and the rest were all public schools. So there wasn't a lot of private schools going on. And so, I mean, the year I was graduating, they changed some rules to where now, from what I know, homeschoolers can go try out for public school teams, and it's up to the coach to decide who makes the team or not. Right. So I don't know if it's do
you think there's a bias with the coach? And this is I got a lot of dumb questions. Do you think there's a bias with the coach when Brock shows up to play soccer at 17 years old for his junior year in high school, and he's a phenomenal soccer player, right?
Sure.
And he shows up, and the coach is like, yeah, I'm going to get a lot of backlash because he doesn't go to the traditional school, so I'm not going to pick him. I wonder if the kids are...
I doubt it, because they want to win.
They want to win.
You know what I mean? They want the best team. So if they're...
And who doesn't?
If they're following the rules and they want the best team, then I don't think so.
Well, I mean, you guys...
Which is what started happening. I mean, you got these coaches that are like, hey, I'll take... I'll take whoever.
Take Brock.
Yeah, we'll take Brock, baby. Like, we'll take whoever. So yeah, I mean, but to answer your question, like... with homeschooling is we weren't bored, like there's that stereotype for sure. And I knew 90% of the families I knew were doing it for the wrong reasons.
Who taught you how to change a tire?
My dad.
Your dad?
Yeah.
Because you don't learn that in school anymore.
I don't think so.
No.
I don't know. Yeah. No, my dad did.
Hold on. Justin needs a little.
Yeah, you're good. A couple pours. But no, I mean, there's definitely families that do it for the wrong reasons, and I knew a lot of those, and those reasons are, for controlling your kids, and all that kind of stuff. But I was fortunate enough to where,
so I think
we did a lot of things. We played sport. We all played sports. We all had activities with our friends, field trips, traveled a lot. I did a lot of music stuff, so we did a lot of stuff and kept really busy.
So I'm glad we're talking about this because you and I have had several conversations, and obviously Brock last night, and then I just spaced his name. He was here last year.
Hunter,
yeah. Sorry, Hunter, if you listen to this. And Hunter's awesome. Yeah. But when you guys were like talking about homeschooling, I was just so blown away. And even last night, Brock was dropping knowledge on me. I'm like, yeah, I feel like I think people don't understand. The public doesn't understand why people do it or they don't do it.
Yeah.
And I think it's kind of this, like, in my mind, before talking to you guys, several years ago about this, I think in my mind, I think, oh, those kids are homeschooled, their parents are hippies, and they don't want to conform.
Yeah.
When that's 100% not true at all.
Yeah.
It's completely wrong.
It's so all over the board now, especially now, man. Like, homeschooling has popped off.
Well, yeah.
Since COVID, it's blown up.
Yeah.
So, everybody's reasons are different. And there's such a mixture of kids that, maybe they're just in a weird spot of life. So they do it for, maybe they're really anxious. So they homeschool for a couple of years and they learn how to adapt, work around their anxiety and feel comfortable to go back to school. So there's a lot of that kind of hybrid experience going on too for people. So,
okay. Cumberland Creative.
Yeah, man.
You guys are badass, right?
Oh, we try.
I'm going to look down and try don't make a mistake. Is in 35 Telly Awards and 5 golds.
Might be more now, honestly.
Okay, talk to me. What's a Telly Award for us ignorant people out there? That don't know that?
Man. The Tellys are basically the industry standard for advertising, commercial work. Just like
it's like
branded film work. Not that intense. That's the big goal.
Okay.
But this is like the standard for if you're work in advertising or branded content, anything like that.
So how do you get it? How do you win one?
So you apply within categories,
right?
And you submit your work, and then there is a board of people.
Yeah, a panel.
That vote on the best work. So the way it works
and what's the difference between a Tully and a gold?
So in the Tellys, there are gold, silvers, and bronzes. So they're all Telly awards, but there's the gold award for your category, the silver award, and then the bronze award.
And just to get one's badass alone, right?
Yeah. So getting one means your work's good.
Right.
And then getting a bronze means your work's good.
Right. And you guys got 35 of them.
Yeah. And being a silver means your work's...
Justin, are you familiar with the Tullys? Oh, yeah. Yeah, of course he is. Do you have a Tully? You have 12 of them.
Yeah,
and he is about it. So that for me, that puts it in perspective because I know what you.
Mine are working for other people, so I mean, it's
right.
That's your company, so that's great.
Yeah, but you put in the work.
Sure, but it's not my first bike that has them. It's me, Justin.
Right.
I'm working for someone else that has them.
My First Bike Productions is his company.
Right. Yeah. So bronze means like your work's good. Silver's like your work's really good, and then gold's like you're really fucking good.
Right.
And
so 35's
it's a lot.
Double thumbs up.
Yeah.
It's a pleasure being nominated, as they say.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
that's
good,
awesome,
man. Yeah. So like
so did any of your work that you did for me win a Tully?
Man, I don't know. I got to go back. I probably, man.
Yeah.
We submit a lot of shit.
Yeah.
So I'll have to go back and look. But we did a cool moment was last year. The whole team, we did a branded documentary for George St. Pierre.
GSP.
Yeah, GSP,
bro,
man.
that dude's
Talk about
a
GSD,
legend.
man. Yeah, he's a GSDer all day, man.
Yeah, he's from about 30 minutes from where I grew up.
Yeah.
So he's just just right outside of Montreal. His dad was a police officer.
Side note, I don't know if you knew this, but he told me this. He
wants to meet me and be on my show.
Fuck yeah. When he started training,
bro, you get him on my show, we're gonna talk.
Bro, I'll text him, man.
Yeah.
When he started training in New York, jiu-jitsu, he started training in New York. He, was living in Montreal.
Yeah.
Was a garbage man.
Yeah, waste management.
Dude, he would drive. He would work his shift.
Yeah.
Drive to New York, train all day, and then drive home every day.
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah. And his dad was a police officer, RCMP, I believe.
I think so.
Yeah. Royal Canadian Mounted Police.
No, he's the man. But
yeah.
So we did.
Dude, that dude's a legend.
Dude,
I forgot you did work with him.
We did this awesome project with him. He was amazing. Like we filmed with him, and
did you go to Montreal and film?
Yeah. So the client was Heart and Soil. They're a all natural supplement company. All about animal based diet, very awesome brand, great people.
Plant based or animal?
Animal based.
Jonica.
Oh, dude,
sorry,
dude, they will not take that plant.
Jonica, sorry.
Vibe. So GSP had recently come on as a ambassador for them, and
not GSD, GSP.
Yeah,
George St. Pierre.
Yeah, and he had a product coming out. It was a product launch, and part of that launch, we were making a bunch of content for them, and part of it was they wanted to make a branded doc about him, and he's had a lot of stuff made about him, so it was a real challenge to
be different,
come up with something new,
right?
Which I believe we did.
Yeah.
And so it was awesome, man, because I worked with a lot of people, but he was for you always think about you hear about these people that are so famous and have so much success and they're difficult to work with, and he was so committed to whatever he puts his mind to. He's so committed to it being a success. Like he'd rather die than it fail.
Right.
So early on, like we're on our first calls, and he's like, "Whatever you need, whatever idea you have, I'm in."
He was putting he puts in the hours.
Oh, he does, dude. He's a madman.
Yeah.
But so we made this doc. It was amazing. Went brilliantly, and we submitted it for awards, and it won in its category of branded doc.
And where can someone watch that if they wanted to watch that?
It's on YouTube under Heart and Soul's YouTube.
Just go to YouTube, then type in Heart and Soul.
Heart and Soil, George St. Pierre.
Heart and Soil?
Right, yeah.
Okay, and then just find
George
the
St. Pierre, Warrior.
Okay.
It'll come right up.
Yeah, because I've watched it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
was good, man.
It's legit.
I was really happy about it. And so we submitted it for the category of like branded doc, and then within that category there's different awards you can win. So there's awards for directing, cinematography, editing, best branded doc, all that kind of stuff.
Right.
And we took home golds for best branded doc, gold for cinematography, gold for directing, and gold for editing.
All in that one.
All in that one category.
Ooh,
which was,
that was the home run.
Oh, it was,
and really that's got to make the client feel good too, because obviously you let them know.
Yes,
I mean,
which is a big part of why the Tellys exist, because you win the awards, and then you buy the trophies and ship them to the client, and then you go like, "Look what you did!
Yeah,
look what you won."
So I didn't win any then yet, because you haven't sent me any yet. Just
maybe
kidding.
Not, maybe not.
Just kidding.
Yeah.
Just kidding,
dude. No,
so that's four out of the 5 golds right there. And you've done a lot of work with military guys, and I think I've had had the conversation with Kyle, because I know Kyle wanted to go in the military. He told me a story one time.
He was planning on going to the SEALs for a long time.
Yeah. Yeah, and then, but you guys both got to work with several hard chargers, as we'll call them.
A lot.
And so did you ever have an interest yourself of going in the military? No. You were chasing the drums.
Yeah, I never really thought about it, honestly. But again, I've been really fortunate to be in some like unreal experiences and like around some unreal guys that have like
the elk hunt.
Yeah. I
mean, with former SEAL Team 6, Andy Stump.
Dude.
And who else was with you guys?
So that trip was just Andy's wife, Leah.
Oh,
and
yeah,
their
that's right.
friend, Denver. And then Nelson. Who's a fucking badass, dude.
Yeah.
He's
the one I want to keep steaming, right?
Yeah, dude. He's just ready to go.
I was watching some of those videos, and I was like,
oh,
that was like, you guys, that was legit.
But I've, it's been crazy because, like, again, I'm 28 now, but through my, the last 6 years, it's been so interesting because I've like worked with a lot of like exceptional dudes who have done some like wild shit.
Yeah.
Unreal stories, who have, laid it all on the line, like without thinking twice. And, it's just like given me so much context, and appreciation and understanding.
You guys did Crispy's videos.
Yeah.
I mean, that story.
We work with him a lot.
Yeah, Google that guy.
He's crazy, man. I'm going on a hunt with him here in like a month.
Oh,
so
really?
I'm filming with him again. Yeah.
We should get him on the podcast.
Yeah, man.
That might be one where I have to go to him. Just, I know he's super busy, but
he's killing it right now. But dude, I'll never forget. It was actually when I was filming a documentary about Crispy, and we were finishing the shoot, and we went out to get dinner. We were like at this dinner, like this cool place. It was like on like a hilltop at a picnic table, and it's like a bunch of like local food trucks, and we all got like beer and hot wings, and we're all hanging out and talking, and I'm sitting at a table with Crispy, Dakota Meyer, which I don't know if you know, Medal of Honor recipient.
Oh yeah, I know Dakota. Actually, one of the guys that runs my facility, not one of the guys, the guy who runs my facility in Vermont,
mm-hmm.
His name is Aiden. They were in boot camp together in the Marine Corps.
Oh, sick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they were in the same boot camp class.
Yeah. So I was at this dinner, at this picnic table with Crispy and Dakota and like another Navy SEAL, and I think it, like maybe Tim Kennedy was there. And I'm just like sitting there, and all these guys are talking, sharing these stories. And I'm like it's very rarely where I have a moment where I feel like I have nothing that I can say,
Right.
And that whole time I was like, I don't know what I can say here.
Right.
I don't know what I can add to what these guys are talking about,
Yeah.
because I have no experience or concept to
But what you
these
do
guys
have
done.
But what you do have is the ability and the skill to tell their story for them
Mm-hmm.
in video.
Yeah.
And that's what you've been doing.
Yeah.
So you didn't go and do these things, but what you did do is, because they're not sharing, the capability of like myself sharing my story without it, I can't put that in a video. It's not what I do.
Right.
But so that's we're all here for a reason, right?
Yeah.
And when you can do that to the level you guys do, and I'm not talking about the awards, but even when we start talking about GSP and Andy and Tim Kennedy, all these guys, I've watched these videos, and you guys, you put on a show.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, literally a 7-minute or 11-minute video.
Yeah.
I mean, some of the videos you guys have done for me, I watch them like, shit, that is like great stuff.
So I what's important for me from a director's perspective is when I'm working with particularly about making like a documentary about somebody, my whole, because typically they're always like branded by a client or a company,
right,
and a company's paying for it, and it needs to fit their brand. But my approach, since day one has been that whatever it is we're creating, like about this person, if it's like a bio doc or whatever, like my goal is that whatever we create, that their great grandkids can watch that piece and get an understanding of like, oh,
what they did and who they are,
grandpa
who they
was
were.
Fucking badass, or grandma was fucking badass. Like that's my goal. Like from a director standpoint of like can their family generations from now watch this piece and get a totally realistic, not convoluted, not fake at all, like a totally real understanding of who this person and their family was. And if that box isn't checked for me, then I'm not happy with it. And so that's my goal. Like, and I tell our clients that, like, if I'm making a doc about Crispy or Andy or whoever, like, I tell them, I'm like, look, this is your piece. This is for you to use, but like, this is our approach. This is the way we're doing this. Yeah. And it's the only way I know how.
It's your work.
And we've had a lot of success with this approach. We can't make it. We got to make it about the person. We really got to dive into their story and who they are, and tell their story in a way that no one's ever heard. I mean, there's been instances where I've worked with guys who have had, like GSP, or Crispy, like tons of pieces made about them, but there's like key parts of their life that people for some reason skipped over. Like when I was interviewing Crispy leading up to his filming for his doc, he's had a lot of things made about him. So that was another fear of mine, was like, again, what am I going to do different? What are we going to do different?
Right.
And there's a huge part of his story that nobody had told yet, which is that he was an illegal immigrant living in America.
Yeah.
And he was
and 9/11 happened.
And he was a kick-ass football player, had a full ride scholarship to go play football at TCU. And the week he got his citizenship, 9/11 happened. He had dreams of the NFL, like big time, like the number 2 offensive lineman in the state of Texas. And then when 9/11 happened, he said, fuck that. Like, I'm not, like, he had all these little siblings. And he told me, he's like, I just knew that what we just earned, what we just got, I'm not letting anybody take that away from my family. And he just threw all of his dreams aside to go serve. And no one had told that.
No one told that story.
No one had told that story. They always focused on, when he's overseas and gets hurt, and then his story after that. Yeah. Like, no one had dug deep enough.
Right.
Like in his youth and his childhood to tell that story.
And if anyone wants to watch that, they can just go to YouTube and type in, because it's Crispy, but there's a...
Yeah, so it's through Kill Cliff.
Kill Cliff. Yeah, I was going to say it was the energy drink, right?
Yeah.
And that's where you've done a lot of work. You guys did a lot of work with Kill Cliff.
Yeah.
And that's where you met a lot of former operators.
Yep.
But all your work is good. So you get the Bibeau award. And I think that's...
We love it.
I think it's better than a Tully.
Yeah.
I know you have 12 Tullys through other companies that you worked with, but I might give you a Bibeau award too. We'll see.
My most coveted prize.
Coveted, yeah, dude. Put it on the mantle, I love it. I'll take it.
Yeah,
you gotta send me a trophy, man.
Yeah,
design it.
Yeah, we'll get that one designed.
Yeah.
For the listeners, obviously you guys have been GSDing your company, Cumberland Creative, but for the listeners, you personally have been GSDing. So tell me and tell the listeners before we close out here.
Yeah.
If you have any advice, because again, you're in your late 20s, 28-ish, I'll say, right? And you've been in business now for 5 years. You're pushing a $3 million company. You've got now 11 employees. You know work balance because you have a beautiful wife that's awesome, and you've been married for 5 years.
Yeah.
And you were homeschooled, one of 6 children.
Yeah.
So your mom clearly instilled some everyday GSD in you.
Yeah.
So what do you have for the listeners that you can? What kind of advice do you have? Whatever that means to you.
Yeah, man, I think for me and what because that's something I navigated, like stepping into the business and learning, because again, like not having a formal education, like outside of high school and stuff, like there's a lot of, and I still experience like a lot of imposter syndrome that goes along with what I'm doing. And that's something I've been navigating this whole time. And so for me, I really had to dissect and dive into like, what kind of a leader am I? What kind of a person am I? Like, because I see all these other people that are like, oh, like for instance, like Kyle, like he has these skill sets, my partner, that I don't have. And so I really had to, what was important for me from early on was to figure out like, who am I actually, like, and what am I good at? And I'm not going to fake that I'm this guy that's going to go up in front of the board and kick ass and sell this thing. And like, what I'm good at is that I will work relentlessly.
And you do.
Like I will work till I die, and I will take responsibility for everything, and I will be positive, a team player, and like solution oriented all the time. Like no matter what the case is, like that's my goal. Like I'm not going to trip. I'm going to like, of course the problems will arise, you know, and those things need to be talked about and addressed, but like we're moving forward. So like we'll figure it out. What's the solution? Let's move forward.
Every problem has a solution.
Right. And so like for me, like I think the biggest thing I learned was just like really had to like figure out like, you know, who I am, because with all that imposter syndrome that came with it, I was like, oh, I should be like this or do this, or like all these guys you see on the internet, I should be more like that. And in reality, like was huge for me was just like, who am I actually? And what are the things I'm actually good at? And let me just stay in my lane and hone in on those things.
Ah, that's a good one, right?
And
stay in your lane and hone in on what you're good at.
Yeah.
Right? Because if you start going in other lanes and you're not good at it,
yeah, you just start faking shit and winging it, and it's not going to go good for anybody.
Yeah, it's not good for anyone.
So
surround yourself with good people that are smart and that motivate you, that keep you and your goals, because we talk about goals all the time, right? Uh-huh. You have to have goals with deadlines, right? Because what's a goal without a deadline? It's a dream.
That's right.
And it's fun to dream, but
might happen, might not. Yeah,
it might happen, it might not. Yeah. But you set goals and you set deadlines. And that's when you accomplish it. And that's when you GSD. And you guys have been doing that for a long time. And your message is, I'm sure, well received for everyone who listens.
I hope
so. It's
yeah.
excellent. Yeah. So I do have a little gift for you.
Oh, no.
In the tradition of the Everyday GSD
Let's
podcast,
go.
We give out a Everyday GSD t-shirt or some sort of apparel.
Let's go.
And I always never know what camera to look at. This is for you because I know you'll wear this with pride because you truly do get shit done. And Kyle also deserves one of these, but I will say Kyle does not get one until he's on my show.
There we go.
But thank you, brother. I appreciate you coming up from Nashville.
Yeah.
And Brock, thank you so much. I had pleasure working with you today. And, thank you guys. I really appreciate you guys.
Dude, thanks so much. I'm happy to be here.
All right.
Really happy about it. Appreciate it.